All right. Welcome to the POWERTRIP podcast. We're your hosts of the Thursday evening chat.
Yes. So I'm Charmaine, and this is Saquon for all of you guys who are new and joining us tonight.
Yes, typically the audience will be here right now, but can you go through our whole spiel?
Yes, you can. So, if you don't know, every Thursday evening we get together to discuss controversial topics surrounding family, relationships, and community. We have three main goals. One is to strengthen communication skills in our community. The second goal is to expand our perspectives to gain greater understandings. And last but most importantly, we want to build exceptional families that will continue to uplift the world around us. So, to do that, we are going to discuss some topics, but first, we want to introduce a special guest.
Yes, her name is ESAIA Mystic. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, a mystic. Yes.
Messiah Mystic. All right, sorry for that. Sorry for that. Messiah Mystic is a spiritual life coach and a feminine energy guide. She helps people become one with their higher self and currently launching a 6 month container called Activating the Goddess Frequency, which is helping women to turn their spiritual burdens into gifts that can empower them into relationships, well being, and business. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I really, really loved that 10-minute intro. I was like laughing. I was like making some faces. It was good. It was like, ooh, this about to be a good conversation.
Thank
I'm
you.
ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything that we left out that you want to say about yourself before we get started and jump in the convo?
Um, yeah, so I mean, I'm like you said, I'm a spiritual life coach, feminine guide, and I am currently hosting oh my gosh, you guys, it's happening. Okay, my eyes start watering when I put on the
Oh,
wrong kind of mascara. So just let me dap my eyes real quick.
okay.
But yes, I am running or opening up my doors to a 6 month container for women, spiritual women, empathic women that are ready to take their spiritual and psychic energy to the next level and yeah, use it to empower their relationships, their well-being and their business, and get out of this stuck place, mentally, emotionally, physically.
Mhm.
So yeah. And from before that gets started, because that's going to start in March, I am doing a free 7-day challenge called the Seven Commandments of Love, which is going to start on February 21st. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, you can. And also book a free Lightning Self-Love coaching call with me. If you want to work through any resistance or blocks that you feel like you may be facing in getting to that higher self, getting into your higher self, into your spiritual superpowers.
Okay.
So
Perfect. And we will link her website down in the description below.
Yep.
Hi, Aunt Chi.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome. All right, so let's jump into it. And our first topic,
Sex before marriage.
sex before marriage. So, what are your thoughts on that? We'll let you go first.
okay. um all right, sex before marriage. So as I was watching the 10-minute intro, there was a video clip you guys had in there that spoke briefly about, what do you think? Should a woman wait before she gets married to have sex? And I mean, interestingly enough, the question was directed more so towards, the feminine
Mhm.
aspect than it was towards the masculine, because ultimately we're the ones who make the decision on how this whole process goes. So she said that, you know, I don't want to wait too long, before I get to that point. Why do I have to wait too long? And I feel like for myself personally, growing up, the way I used to look at marriage, because my biological mother and father, they divorced when I was, like how they were talking about, I was just a baby. I was like a few months old, and they were, they went their separate ways. And from that experience and growing up with a stepfather and, visiting my dad and kind of like living these different worlds, and also seeing like the discord that my mom had with my dad, and the grudges that I felt like my dad was still holding against my mom. It was like it was a turn off. I got turned off from marriage. I did.
Okay.
And even in my mom getting remarried and having a new relationship with my stepfather, that relationship was my visual of that. It wasn't like, you know, that was a turn off as well. So I'm like, look, not in none of these situations look fun to me. So my image and my ideal for marriage was something that was a burden, and it also felt like something that was going to chain me down from enjoying my life. And I think I was like 20, maybe, like I was like just getting into my 20s, and I'm like, I remember my dad asking me if I was going to get married and have children, and I was like, no. What do I need to do that for? Like, look what happened. Look what, you know, look what happened to you. I mean, no offense, Dad, if you're watching, but he was married 4 different times, and he had children 4 different times with each of those women, and it to me it was just like too much drama, right? But it wasn't until I understood the foundational aspects to marriage, versus the personal self gratification that we often look for, that I started to really understand why, and why it was important to be married before you have sex. Um, so ultimately, the way I feel about it is, I definitely feel that a woman should be married before she has sex with a man. And I think that is something that is empowering versus almost like this kind of like sentence to hell. Like a lot of women can start to feel like that, because we are coming from an era where, women were getting married because, they had to get married in order to be financially secure, in order to have, security.
Right.
But from that, there was a lot of situations and scenarios where women felt like abused, that was being abused, like, because I can't thrive outside of you, you feel like you can beat me up when nobody looking, and you know play all of these emotional manipulative games that I also feel like on the masculine side was and is pushed onto melanated men, so that they can, not necessarily they, but so that the family cannot come together and be powerful. If the man is not, if he's not cycling that power, it's almost like a power dynamic that flows. And I talk about this in my book that's currently being published, The Great Woman Resurrected, how the chakra systems work in a flow, and how each chakra is masculine has a masculine and feminine polarity.
Right.
So like the root chakra is a masculine chakra. This is our security. This is our foundation. This is our survival. This is what gives. This is what gives first.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the sacral can thrive and she can be creative. She can be flowing. She can be sensual. And then from there, that feeds the solar plexus, which is masculine, which is what makes the man want to go out and get it, want to go make things happen, want to get the bag, get what you need, what the family need. Like it's like even it goes even farther after, you know, she can flower and flourish. And so in that solar plexus area is where them games started to get played, right? And so the man has the power now. And what ended up happening is he has this power, but he started to become programmed by society, by mainstream society, that this power doesn't, you should not give this power back to your woman at all. If you do, she's gonna want to do this, she's gonna want to do that, you're gonna big up her head. I don't know honestly what be going on and what really actually gets said, but I come across every now and then the conversations and I'm like, really? But the conversations to get had, and it doesn't have to be so blatant, but it's just this subtle programming of, if you empower your woman or you bring this solar plexus energy back into back to your woman, what's going to happen is you're going to fuel her heart chakra, and you're going to fuel the love, that unconditional love energy that is needed in order for families to thrive, for communities to thrive, for people to thrive. So once that power dynamic got cut off, basically where, you know, solar plexus wasn't fueling the heart chakra, women are like out here heartbroken. They're like, you cheated me. You know, you took from me, but you didn't give to me what I needed. Because that's kind of like, that's the cycle of the flow. That's the flow of energy. And when the solar plexus is fueling the heart chakra, then that's when it's like a shift can start to happen on the earth, because the earth, and I'm about to go in deep. I'm about to get juicy, y'all. Just tell me when to pause at any moment if you guys want to say.
1 second. Yes, I do want to say something. So, hey, everybody who is just joining us, make sure you give us a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not. So right now we are discussing, well, kind of a mixture of things, but the topic is sex before marriage. And we have a very special guest with us today. ESAIA Mystic.
ESAIA, yeah.
ESAIA Mystic. And my cousin says she loves your hair. She also has locks. So, but yeah, so continue. Go ahead. Get deep. And right now, we're talking about things from an energetic perspective, which, sorry to cut you off, I think is super powerful. And then after you finish what you are saying, I think it also connects to like a systemic outwardly, like it connects to kind of what they're doing, like you said, society is doing, which is causing this energetic turmoil. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And so basically the heart chakra is it's a very important chakra here in this realm that we live in, that we call Earth. This Earth naturally resonates at a frequency of 432 hertz, and that's the frequency of love. So essentially, we all come here to experience love, and pleasure. We all come here to experience that in physical form. And so when you are taking the fuel from that center by disrupting the harmony within the family structure, or I would say the energetics, masculine and feminine energetics within people, and the way they relate to each other, if something happens on the earth, actually, that disrupts the harmony of everyone on this earth. So I teach in my programs and in my workshops that the Afro-Indigenous people of this earth are they're the nuts and bolts of everything that goes on here. When we do something, when we put our energy into something, it pops. That it doesn't matter what it is. If we make a song or if we start a trend, everybody all over the world is gonna start copying off of it. Everybody everywhere is gonna want to mimic what we do because we represent a source that is so primal to this planet that it's the original, it's the primordial energy. So when the heart chakra gets in this place where it's like, I'm not being fed, I'm hungry, it's like it blocks off. So that's when you start to get like the blockages into the throat chakra, which is being able to learn new things and being able to communicate effectively. This is when you start getting the third eye, depressions, anxieties, um, you know, uh, imagining things and creating things in your mind that are destructive and that are, they're not pleasant. This is when you start getting disconnected. This is when all this stuff starts getting projected into our society and into our lifestyle that is not productive to our well-being and our progress. So that's how I feel about sex before marriage. And I know that was a lot.
Yeah.
But
that's okay. We appreciate it. Hi, this is Chris. So I agree. And were you going to say something?
No.
Okay. So I definitely agree. I think that it's more beneficial to wait to have sex until after you're married before you have sex. And growing up, my mindset, I thought it because I grew up Christian, so that was what's taught with that religious belief. But then even like growing up and it's like, okay, well, no, but I love them and I'm going to marry them. So, we can just have sex now. Like, your mindset kind of changes when you think you're in love. And these are the things that your peers are telling you and the people around you. So then as a young, not even adult, because you're like under the age of 18, like, you start believing these things and you start confusing yourself on what's truly love. And like you said, with marriage, it's deeper than just love. So on one of our other episodes, we were discussing, should you get married, or is there a benefit to it versus just, living together, cohabitating in the house together? And, some people believed it's the same, other people don't. And a lot of people looked at like marriage as a business, which in essence it is a business. And with marriage, you have to have a goal. And for us, our goal is generational success. It's also self-development. Like we're not just in the marriage, because a lot of people say they love each other, but then they turn their backs on each other. So when you have sex outside of marriage, you're more prone to STDs. You're more prone to possibly having a child, and your partner, male or female, whoever, like it could be the guy who acts to take care of the baby or the woman. There's a lot of times where women don't want to take care of their responsibility and the man has to. So then that baby unfortunately has to grow up in a broken family system. And then, like that lady, that clip we were showing in the 10 minutes beforehand, where she was like, well, my friend, she waited till marriage. So they got married quick because they had this sexual tension and they wanted to hurry up and get married. But they didn't take the time to get to know each other. So then after they got married, the honeymoon phase is over. Now it's like they don't know each other.
Yeah.
They have issues. So I think it's a lot of it comes down to self-control and self-discipline and being able to really just say, okay, I want to actually get to know this person on a deeper level than just sex. Because another thing she said in that clip, she was like, well, you don't know if you're going to have chemistry. Or was that? No, I think we watched a different part of the clip.
It was a different part.
Yeah, but so further on, this other lady was saying, well, you won't know if you have chemistry unless you have sex. Chemistry is not just sex. And so I think people get it confused. And we're also in this state where it's like women's liberation and like it's our body. No one should tell us when and how to have sex, which I agree. No one should tell you. But I do think there is definitely a pro to waiting until marriage versus having sex outside of marriage. There's a lot of risks that come with that.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I agree. There's pros to it. There are pros to it, but I think the thing that kind of just block it is, I guess, growing up, just thinking about that is being promoted at an all-time high, and therefore, when you get into a relationship, that's the priority. Is eventually making it to sex, and I guess being with them intimately, rather than wanting to get to know them, wanting to know them to a deeper extent. I don't think that's a priority at all.
I agree, and I think a lot of times for men too, it's something that's kind of ingrained in young men, is like it's a competition on who can sleep with this woman quicker, and like it's like an ego stroke.
It's an ego one, yeah.
And then on the other side for women, when I was, not that I'm that old, but when I was growing up, it was thought of like, you don't want to be fast, you don't want to sleep around, so you do wait, but you want to make like, you don't wait. It wasn't told to wait till marriage necessarily, but it was more so wait until it's like you're in a committed relationship. But now I think the way society is currently, it's just, well, men can do it, women can do it. There's no negatives to it. But I think people also don't realize that there are truly spiritual connections when you are, physically intimate like that.
Yeah, you
with
share
someone.
A piece of yourself with someone.
Right. So to all of our audience, please let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. We would love to hear what you guys have to say. But yeah, so just based off the things that we said, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I feel like definitely now that from what I was mentioning before, how we were coming from an era where women had to be financially dependent on men, and pretty much if you didn't have a man, you were like like you didn't have nothing, like you don't have anything. So people think that was so long ago. Like that wasn't that long ago, So coming from the era, and then women going into this extreme where they're like trying to just completely break away from that, but they're going into an extreme where they forget what their power even is. And they're so much so trying to be equal to men that they don't realize that they will never be an equal to a man because they're not a man. So the point is not to be equal to a man and be able to have sex whenever you want to have sex, and be whatever, like go on a slut walk, and yes, you want to cultivate a pride in yourself, in your sensuality and your sexuality, but you don't want to be, just trifling out like,
Right.
just you have no principle. That's like you're you found this freedom, but you don't have any principle around your freedom. You think you can just do whatever you want, and that's childish, So um I do agree that there is principle around what it means to be in your feminine energy and in your power, and um knowing how to carry yourself in relationship to marriage and being in partnership and families, children. Really, it's like women have got to a point, and I learned this when I was in college. I was taking sociology classes and, gender studies and, different things like that. And there were a lot of women in those classes who were just, I mean, they were just angry, um, at men. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know what happened. Like there was like two other guys in those classes that I took, and all of them used to just be in their chairs. Like every time a question came up, who wants to answer? I'm not saying nothing. Like I could just feel it. But there was one guy though who would always have the audacity to say something, right? And to express what was on his mind. And it was so cute because he was just so innocent. Like he with
Mhm.
it. Like he was just so like, this is what I feel and I'm gonna express it. And when I tell you, like almost every woman in the class would have a problem with it, even the teacher, I was
Wow.
like, this is some weird stuff going on. Like
Yeah.
very, very weird. And um I ended up befriending him because it was like they almost got to a point where they were like bullying this dude.
Wow.
And I'm like, y'all are taking this too far. Like whatever scar, and I'm not even gonna say whatever and be ambiguous about it because we know what the scar is. We know what, you know, patriarchy and this hundreds of years of this programming of women being a lesser than a man has done. Their The feminine body is wanting to heal from that, but right now, so yeah, right now it's like in this extreme. And so what I'm wanting to do is pull that extreme, from getting too far in there and bring it back into its center to where it can see and be actually now be proud and take I don't know what's the perfect word, but really just love being a woman again.
Mhm.
Love giving birth, love having children, love what that means, and it don't even have to just be physical things like that, or like cooking and cleaning and things like, because it's like so many women are like, I'm not cooking and cleaning. It's 2021, and I'm not saying that you should be cooking and cleaning. You don't have to do whatever you don't want to do. But it's like, let that go. Let that scar go so you can center yourself and see how we can all move forward